talking swing weights today, along with our golf club reviews, fittings, and repairs, and a few other topics. Next on What's on My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats. I'm no different. It's about what's in my drawers in my shop right over there. Alrighty, and this is all about where we talk about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, golf club fittings. Also, your scores can go low. All right, so today's topic is swing weight. And what is swing weight? So we're going to jump right into what is swing weight, and then we'll talk about all our journeys and things that we did later on. So swing weight is a measurement of heft of the golf club and how you want to, when you pull that club up and you set it out there, how does that work? Okay. And so you got to start with, now that we know what it is, but how did we measure it? In the early 1930s, a gentleman named Allen, he gets the credit for the first, he gets credit for being noted for the first swing weight scale that measures the moment of the golf club and alike. That's what it says in the where you get certified. And it used a 12-inch fulcrum. Well, when you use the 12-inch fulcrum and you measured it, and everything being the same, the longer clubs got lighter and the shorter clubs got heavier. So enter Kenneth Smith. Kenneth Smith is the person that has been given the credit for the golf club scale, okay? And what he did is he took that scale and made it from a 12-inch fulcrum to a 14-inch fulcrum so that you could have a better reading of the scale. And you say, so what's a D scale or a B scale? It's indiscriminately. He just literally picked a letter. Okay. And he says, okay, this is what it should be, and this is what we're going to measure it to, and then everything else will be a sliding scale all the way down. All right. So there are A's, B's, C's, D's, and E's. The very last one on my scale it's at like F0. All right. And that's an original Golf Works scale. So there are two different kinds of swing weight scales. There's a low rhythmic and a pyrrhythmic. And the low rhythmic is really what we're doing. The other one had two scales that kind of worked opposite. It's kind of like an old barrel scale. All right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to stay low rhythmic. And so that's just the single arm where you put your shaft or your golf club in the holder, and then you slide a scale in order to find it to where it balances, wherever that might be, at the end or in a digital one, wherever you just put it in, you let it find it. Okay. Now there used to be different styles. The Kenneth machine is actually very cool. It's all metal, and it has this big sliding weight that goes up and down it. It's pretty impressive for those of us that remember what it looks like. The Golfsmith scale or Golf Works scale is a classic, has a square body. It's almost like a big giant square channel, maybe about 3 inches in square. It looks like it's been powder coated. It's got a little bit of a balance, or like on a level, it has a bubble so that you can center it up, so you know that you're not going to be off too much one way or to another. And then it comes with a bonus package. It has just this platen that's on the bottom where you can actually measure, like you used to do back in the day with those triple beam balance scales. You could put a head on there and slide it around, and there was a gram scale on there as well. And that's how that was measured. Now, that was literally the only standard that we golf club players and builders had to understand what the club was going to do. Okay. And as we've gotten better, we see stuff out there that's moment of inertia, or MOI, with Sean and a lot of club makers have grappled onto that. However, the idea of identifying a moment is pretty much no different than identifying a swing weight, meaning that you have your components together, you've put it together, you've laid it on this scale, voila, you have a swing weight. Now, can you say, oh, I like heavier swing weights or lower swing weights? Not really. We're not there just yet. A moment is kind of the same thing. You take your completed club, you put it in the machine, and it measures that moment. Okay. And the moment is basically length squared in weight of an object. Now, there are different moments for different shapes, don't get me wrong, but this is the most simplest ones, like a stick. Okay. And so that's how that works. And so but the idea of being able to swing weight match is very, very common. Everybody knows to do it. How to MOI match is a little bit more difficult. All right. Once you get used to it, it's the same thing as swing weight matching. However, it just takes more time. All right. It just takes a little more time. Some people live and die by that thing, and some people don't care. It just depends on which park you're in for that particular function. Okay. I tend to swim in both pools, and for different reasons, though. So, what we do is when the golf club gets ridiculously short, and there's every shape and model of golfer out there and just like here in the last 3 fittings that I've had some shorter golfers, and they've come out with clubs that they need literally an inch short, sometimes even more. And when I get down to that inch short, I start getting into what I call poor man's MOI matching. And what do I mean by that? In that, if you took that 1 inch and then you went half-inch increments all the way down, your pitching wedge, your sand wedge, would be ridiculously short. And that's not what we want either. We want them to be able to manipulate the short club as much as the tall club. And so what I go in is 3/8 inch increments instead of half-inch increments. And that makes, instead of the slope being like this, the slope is more like that as far as length goes. Well, it just kind of by accident on my part, is that when you're MOI matching, you have one or two things that you can manipulate. You either manipulate the weight of the head, or you manipulate the length of the club. And so, and that's talking about taking weight off and or putting weight on. And so you got to keep that in mind. So if you don't want to mess with the weight of the head, i.e. removing some of the protective coatings or the chromes or what like that, then you're into messing around with, you can put weights in, but taking it off sucks. So what do you got to do? You got to change the length. So as it comes to be is in those 7 grams that are in all those heads, and that change from highest to lowest, where you gain the weight, that when you're in these shafts, if you go in 3/8 inch increments, you're virtually MOI matching, right? Virtually MOI matching. Now, in a lot of cases, when you do that and you go to swing weight, what typically happens, but not in every case, you will start out at a lower swing weight. Let's just say one out, like C8, for example. You might get 3 into the third club head, and all of a sudden it's C9. You might go 2 more club heads, and all of a sudden it's D0. And the very last club head, it might be D1. All right. So because what's happening is you're getting closer to the real length of the standard club, which has the higher swing weight, because you just cut some off, right? So that's how it works. Now, in some cases, based on the way the profile or maybe even bend points, it might smooth out and not have such a radical change. You might only be a couple, but I've almost never seen it where it stayed the same. Almost never. Okay. All right. So now here's quiz time, and I want you to answer it and put it in the notes down below here. Quiz time. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I built 2 sets of irons yesterday, and it is the perfect example of how we talk about swing weight. All right. I built a set of clubs, and I'm going to show you. Here's both irons. I'll show you both irons. There, that's both irons. See the set that's in front with it has the Acra I series, and these are Mizuno hot metals, and they have jumbo Win dry tacks on them. Jumbo Win dry tacks. These are 60-gram shafts, and those are lightweight heads. Those are, and this is the very first set of what they call B series wedges or heads that I've put together. So now the thing here is you're going, oh, light, light, light. I made these clubs 1.5 inches long. All right, 1.5 inches long. So when I go 1.5 inches long with jumbo grips, lightweight heads, and a 60-gram shaft, what do you think the swing weight came out to be? Okay. What do you think the swing weight came out to be? Now, the real question here is, you see that set in the back? All right. That set in the back is another set of Mizunos. Those are the 245s. All right. 245s. And these have Nippon 125s in them, 125s, and they also have jumbo MCC 4 Plus grips on them. All right. And they are made to a normal length or a regular length. Okay. So you have a lightweight head, a lightweight shaft, super duper long club, and what it would be about a 50-gram, 55-gram grip. Okay. Then on the other hand, you have a 125-gram shaft, a standard weight head, a standard length, and you have a grip that weighs well into the 70s, right? 70, probably 70-ish, maybe 75 in that particular realm. Which one had the higher swing weight? And cheers, and we'll talk about this here in a minute. So let's be Captain Obvious here. In order for, let's assume a D2 swing weight, it starts with a standard weight shaft, which is about 120, and the head weighs about, we'll say at a 5-iron, about 254. It could be 256-ish in that area. And a grip weighs around 45 to 48. And that's at standard length of 38 inches. That's the 5-iron. Now, doing the math, what are we looking at? And now, here's the plus and the minus. This is all pro tip stuff right here. So for every 2 grams that you add at the head, that's a swing weight. Same thing for taking it off. Every 2 you take off, that's a swing weight. In the shaft, every 9 that you add is a swing weight. Conversely, when you take 9 grams off, it's a swing weight point. And in the grip, it's 4 grams. Some will say 5. 4 or 5, we're just going to not split hairs, okay? And that's assuming that 45 gram-ish, that's a good number, 45-gram grip, okay? So we got an ultra heavy shaft, well, not ultra heavy, but we have a heavier than normal shaft, a heavier normal grip, and a standard head at a standard length. Or we got a light head with a light shaft and just a slightly heavier grip, but 1.5 inches longer. Which one is going to be more? Which one's going to be more? Which one do you think will feel like the heavier swing weight? That's 2 really good questions, and that's the meat of this discussion, okay? The meat of this discussion, because I'm just going to get right to it. The longer club, so we added, for every 1/2 inch is 3, so we added 9 swing weight points. All right, and then we went and we took off about 8 grams, so that's 4 swing weight points to take off because of the light head. So now we're at a +5. Okay, we're at a +5, and then we have the grip, which is about 10 grams above. So we'll say 2, maybe we'll just call for a 3. So now we're only 1 above standard. Okay, 1 above standard. And then we go from 120 to 60. That's several, right? That could be 6 swing weight points. So we're looking at something around, it should be measuring out fairly light, right? Now you go the other way, and you got a standard head and you have a heavy shaft, and maybe we'll give it 1 point. However, we just went to 70 grams plus so that's what, 45, 55, 65, 75. So that's 30. That's 6 swing weight points right there. So you might add 1 for the shaft, and you're going to take away 5. You're going to take away 5 for the grip. Okay. So it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of math, a whole lot of going back and forth. When it really came right down to it, and I was super happy this happened, that the graphite shaft, the stuff that is in the front, ended up with about a D0 swing weight. So a few light, right? A D0 swing weight. And that's give or take a swing weight, or that's about give or take a swing weight. All right. Now, why am I happy about that? Because I made these for a 13-year-old that was 6'2". The dude was an absolute stick, right? He had arms about yay big around, and when he came in here, you could tell he'd been playing with ill-fitted clubs for a long time. He made this squatting motion in order to make the clubs fit, but his swing was just so good. For a 13-year-old kid, he knew the basics of bringing the club around. So he's been coached. He was either extraordinarily gifted, pardon me, extraordinarily gifted. Look at that. It did follow me. And, or he's been coached very well. Now, as I understand it, they're going to be going down to into Georgia. I won't say where. And he's going to be playing with his grandpa, who is quite the little golfer himself, so I'm told, right? And well, okay. Anyway, and so at 13 years old, he's not super strong just yet, right? So you need that lighter weight in order for him to bring the club around, and he did. He really creamed it, right? All right. Conversely, the back one is for a young man that is graduating high school and he's going on to college in order to be a teacher. And the kind of teacher he's going to be, this man is a good soul, and he's going to be on a golf team, and he has a very aggressive swing, and to the point he almost turns and looks back at me. It's really funny. It's not funny, but it was just really something else. And so he needed this more aggressive layout with more weight. Okay. And that will work out extraordinarily well for him. However, the swing weight on this thing came out into the low C, or in the mid C's, mid to upper C's, actually. That's C6, C7 range. So it's really, really different. But I'm here to tell you, if I was to hand you both, you would think that longer club was massively lighter. All right. Why? Total weight. Total weight. Total weight is vitally important. Okay. Total weight is vitally important. For those of you that live out of doors or have wood burning stoves or whatnot, it's the difference between swinging an axe that has a wooden handle or one that has maybe a fiberglass handle or plastic handle. You can go a little bit longer with the lighter handle because it's a lighter club, less amounts of weight that you're moving around. Okay. So we get done, we get through all this. Is swing weight important? Yeah, swing weight is important. It's important to me. That helps me define whether or not I've made you a very consistent golf club. Is it the end all cure all for something? I just got to have this swing weight. No, it's not. Total weight, far, far more important than swing weight. Okay. So again, we'll go into another series of stories here where I've had folks send me in, uh, standard heads with ultralight shafts and very large grips and want them to be a half-inch short, and then it's a ridiculously high swing weight of D3 or D4. Well, I'm here to tell you that stuff's made of unobtainium. You just can't do it, right? Not without changing the total playability of the club. And that's not what it's about. And if I was to do it, you would hate that golf club. I'm here to tell you. All right. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. There's a balance that must be made, and that's what's the most important part. All right. A balance in this particular golf club. Now, there is one other phenomenon that I can't necessarily confirm, but I'm seeing it more and more and more, and it might be just because of the way that the the your normal human being is being made right now. And it's kind of weird saying it like that, but so if I was to take, I go and grab a head off my, I go and grab a head off my rack here, and I go get a shaft, and you hit it, you go, wow, that feels really, really cool. Yeah. And then I go and let's say I give you a Modus 120 and a Wilson Dynaforged, and you hit it and you go, wow, that feels pretty good. It feels just a hair, it feels good, maybe a hair heavy, and can we lighten up? Sure. So I reach back there and I'll give you a staying in steel. Let's go to Nippon 950. We drop the weight very significantly, right? Just to see how he reacts to it. He grabs it and he goes, wow, this is heavier. What? It's heavier. No, it's not. Oh, I can feel the head now. Ah, there it is. I can feel the head, right? Now that's different, right? Now all of a sudden you feel the head. Why? Why did we do that? Because you moved the balance, right? You just took out all that extra weight that was making all of this balance out. You just took it out, and now it's got to go somewhere. This didn't change. This is what's going to give because you're holding here, right? And you're going to feel that extra get out there and it's going to come down. So if you get into some of these places and you go, wow, this thing feels really heavy. No, you're just feeling the head a little bit more. If you go put it on a scale, it's literally going to be 4 or 5 points lower, right? So there's the difference. So that's what the fitting does. That's what the fitting gives you is really that balance, right? And that's where you get from that. Okay, so that's swing weight in a nutshell. All righty, so fittings that we did this week. We had we got a couple things going on. We had a lady from Nevada, and quite at 72, I think. Anyway, in her 70s, and quite the little golfer. We ended up going through, and most of the stuff that she fit into was Callaway this time around. That El Dio shaft that's in their makeup for ladies in the 40-gram range is actually really nice. It's not that whippy, noodly thing that you see with a lot of women or in women's clubs. It's super duper nice. Now, 70 years old, not a really high swing speed. Here comes the second one the second fitting part we're talking about. You know, the trend here lately is to throw out high launch clubs to lower swing speeds so that they can carry the ball a little further instead of hitting that bullet and watch it trying to run 30 or 40 yards. You carry it further and maybe it doesn't roll out as much, but the gain is the same. Okay. And that's really kind of the issue, right? You got to carry a water, an object, or something along that lines. You may want that. All right. In this particular instance, this lady golfer had a very strong lower end release. And I gave her the regular smoke club, not the high launch. And I had her hit it, and she absolutely just pounded this golf ball. Then I turned and I said, well, let's do the test. And we put it in the high launch, and the high launch went straight, but it was literally, I'd say it's a good 10 yards short. I'd have to show you. Oh, my. Anyway, 10 yards short. And she didn't hit it very well. And the funny part is the shaft reacted differently to the golf club head. And that's and there's the difference. And that's why you do these tests, right? To see which one will work. I even did it with Mizuno, and the same thing happened. Hit the regular one just so much better. 40 grams, right? And then we talked about we went into different kinds of drivers. Almost got her into a Mizuno driver, but the smoke driver eked out just a little bit better. And in this particular time, a little bit better is huge strides. And then her weak point was truly putting. And once we were able to, she had this standard putter that she just choked down on. Once we got it down to the right one and I bent the thing up and got her into, it was more of the hinge. She needed one with a little more toe hang. Minutes doing that, she was right down the groove. So good for her. Okay, good for her. Did another one, and there I did several, but these are the notable ones. And the other one here is here's a place I never would have thought I would met anybody from. This guy. All right, that guy, we just call him G. That was just to be able to pronounce his name. G is from Bali. Yeah, now he's working over here in the States, but he's from Bali. One of the kindest souls you're ever going to want to meet. And working on his golf game, and he says his golf game is not very good. And what he showed me was totally the opposite. Quite the traditional golf swing. And nice and he, he's just on plane. He's on plane and everything that he does. And if the only thing that's his trouble is that if he doesn't finish, it's a push off to the right. And that's true of most anybody. Slightly from the inside, and was always hitting these slices. Well, now we got him into the right length of club, the right weight of the club, the right total weight of the club, and now all of a sudden he's hitting these like a push draw. It just goes baby out to the right, comes back into the left, and he's hitting it literally. It was easily 2 clubs further than what he was hitting, and he wasn't hitting junk either. He was hitting pretty nice clubs, and it was just a matter of fitting to the proper spot, right? And helping him with his confidence. But the man hit it well, and when we got him into the driver, holy smokes, so that was a change. We only beat his driver by at least 20 yards. And that was all about being better. All right, so there's our fitting. All righty, so more travels. Let's see, we're going to work backwards here. We did another build. PXGs for Cal. Those are the Gen 6s. If you notice, we got some BB&F ferrules on them. So what we did was he sent me 2 sets of PXGs. Ones were, I think, Gen 3s and the other were Gen 6s. And we literally switched Nippon 950s for Nippon 950 Neos. That's what we did. Okay. And so we took out the 950s out of the 950 Neos. So there's a green label with the green ferrules, and then it had there we go, had the white grips with the little green on the end. So it was very color coordinated, and so now we're going to talk about this one because it's going to lead into some questions. We deal with PXG. You can put a 370 in there and it doesn't wobble. Okay, it still needs the centering ferrule, but it doesn't wobble. So you get your 355 and you go, hey, this thing wobbles around. They say it'll take a 355. Yes, it will. However, when you get the PXG ferrules, particularly from GolfWorks, and you tell them it's for 355s, it comes with this little bitty end cap. That little bitty end cap is just big enough to slide over the shaft, and it fits down into the recess that's in the bottom of the hosel. Makes it extraordinarily solid, and that's what we were doing. So, and that's where we went, and that's what we did. Now, what happens if you don't have that? Yeah, you can use a brass shim, but it's way cooler to be able to use the parts that are, required for that particular job. So that's where that one's at. All righty. For the weekend on the smoker, we did that. We did a pork butt, right? That one we did that one a little bit on a lower heat for a little bit longer. Came out looking like that one was all said and done. And yes, it was very, very tasty. It was very, very good. It was one of the better ones, I'll have to say myself. All righty. So the last bit is we finished the distillery tour for the northern leg. And when you do these on the craft tours, and we found out some rather disturbing news that they're going to change, of course, now that we're in the middle of it. But when you finish a leg or one of the trails, you get a coin. And this is the one that we got. There you go. That's the one that we got. And that's what it says on the back. All right. When you finish and when you get them all, the Kentucky Distillers Association sends you a barrel stave that has room to hold all of those. There's only 4. and to hold them. So that was really cool. So prior to going up there, and we've been tracking how we've been finishing our patio off. We Mrs. McGolf picked out some. She picked out some furniture for herself. Not to get too blustery about it, but there was that's one piece of it, and that's another piece of it. So for as far as seating goes, I think we got that in the bag. As far as the cooking goes, we got that in the bag. So now I got to start working on my barrels so that we have a place to sit all these things. All righty. So where did we go? Last week I told you we went to Augusta and we went to Old Pogue, which was in the very, very close to us, Maysville, Kentucky, and Augusta, Kentucky. And so this time around we went closer to Cincinnati. We went to Cincinnati. The first one we went to was New Riff, and that's what it looks like when you walk into it. If you go to the third floor, this is what you see, and that is called the Aquifer. It's the name of their bar. Very well presented, very well done. Had lots of different options. You could get cocktails, you could get flights, you could get pours, you could get all of that different type of stuff. When you go through there, there are several. This one was a 7 o'clock tour. I love that idea. A 7 o'clock tour. We went into their West Campus in the Ruck House, and what we saw was you get to see barrels. And this is a fairly new place, so it looked pretty doggone good. If you see this, this is how they keep the Ruck House stable, are these cross members. And those lines that are running through there are fire suppression. Just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Very, very tall, lots of barrels in there. Our guy that was our guide for the day his name was Grover, and he's been there since day one. And there's the man himself right there. He's a classic example of a good man. So and the bourbon from New Riff or the rye from New Riff or even some of their specialities are nothing to sneeze at. They're all very, very good. There is a lot of stories about finding a sign, and you get to pick the single barrel that which we get to taste from, and yours truly found the sign. So that was neat. Another one is a distillery called Pensive. Pensive is a very, very teeny weeny distillery, and that's what you see is what you get right there. All right, and what it is in what that does is it's basically a distillery disguised as a bar or a restaurant. You walk in and it's all restaurant with, oh, by the way, we got a distillery. But the food was very, very good. There's kind of hamburgers, chicken sandwiches, that kind of stuff. And so we ended up with a spicy chicken sandwich and a hamburger that had corn relish and what would be like pickled onions on it. Man, both were very, very good. All right. And then the next one, the next day we went to a place called Boone County, and their tagline is "Made by Ghost." Not to go too deep into it, but there's a long history prior to this company, and they're tapping into that story in order to make it their own. And they're doing a really good job for a fairly, I would call it a small. Those like the one I showed you before, that's micro. Right. This one is a small to mid-size one. This is their barrel storage where they've got that going. The Boone County. They're going to need a bigger ruck house pretty soon. This is their particular still. They call it the Bear, and if you see, it's a combination between a pot and a column still. Alrighty. The last one is this one is the Neely family. The Neely family is 11 generations of illegal moonshiners, except for generation 11 and maybe 10 are the first legal ones. The history behind this is just like a Hatfield and McCoy's kind of story. It was very, very cool to see. And they're now that their stuff is starting to mature, that master distiller who is a Neely is gaining some respect out there. And for those of you that know what it is, but if you ever heard of absinthe or absinthe, it's a they call it like a black licorice tasting liqueur that was at one time outlawed. It's not anymore. Anyway, one of their many claims to fame is that they've won this absinthe contest. They've 3 years in a row, world's best. And couple of their other bourbons have won several big awards, so they're on the way of doing very, very well. And that was their general store, and this was what their area looked like. That was their stills. A little bit bigger operation, as you can tell, and this was their ruck house. All righty, so there it is. So we got through it, and this is from the Augusta where I poured my own. This is called River Proof. It's a 4-year-old 113, and so it doesn't taste like a 4-year-old. It drinks very, very well. We're able to name our bottles at this particular point on that one, and that one I call. I've got one waiting. Since these are bourbons, I didn't really name. I just put Mick Augusta on it. But I've got one. When I ever go to do one and I get to make my own and it's a rye, I'm going to name it Dogleg Right, Ryet. There we go. Okay, so there we are. So that we've done it all. We got through it. Now, Ms. McGough handed me, we've got questions being sent in. Mark Wright is asking, I'm trying to extract a broken metal shaft that's flush with the hosel. Pardon me. They're McGregor Muirfield 20th editions. I've put a lot of heat down the hosel and around, and I can't make the broken pieces move. Using a drill bit or screw extractors. Any tips? Okay. So we're talking about the Muirfields, and when you're talking about Muirfields and you're going way back, this is an older club. The first thing I would think of is a pin, but unfortunately, that's not old enough. You might look down in there just in case I'm way off. Look down in there and see if you don't see some sort of rod going across, or look on the outside of the hosel for just a little bitty little circle. And that tell you it was pinned, and that could stop you. However, this being the 20th edition Muirfield, I truly believe it's not like that. All right. And what these were pretty much press fitted in. Okay. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do this in steps. Now, you said the screw extractors. I'm going to try and figure out what that means. If you're using a drill bit, the drill bit can be very, very dangerous in the fact that if you go at it with a high speed, it'll rip your wrist clean off your hand. All right. And particularly if you're holding it like this and trying to get it to go, that's not enough torque for that. And now what are you going to do? You're going to put that thing in a vise and potentially break it, or mar the surface. It's really, really hard with that to get that going. Step drilling for graphite, not a problem. But for steel, you got to kind of watch that. That's a safety thing, right? Now, the screw extractors, depending on what we're talking about, there's two kinds. There's one is literally an easy out. And if you haven't used the easy out, it's one of these two, because the other one's going to work. So the easy out, you're going to need the right size of easy out that's going to let you engage about this much. Okay. And you're going to have to get on it with a wrench. So you're going to get an easy out. What that does is that was actually made to extract bolts or broken drill bits. And what you would do is you drill into the bolt, and then you would screw this thing. And what it would do is, it was reverse threaded, such that when you put it in there and you started loosening it up, it would literally tighten into the bolt and actually allow you to back out the bolt. Same concept, you just don't have to worry about the bolt, and you get a lot better chance of getting engagement. Now, what can happen here is if you get a cheap easy out, you'll just ruin it on the first couple of attempts. So you don't want to do that. Get you a good one. I've got gobs of those things, anywhere from super thick to super thin, because they come in a set, right? And what can happen is the edges tend to stop cutting into the sides. So you got to make sure you get a fresh one on this one. Get it nice and warm on the outside and do it twice, right? You want to go about a minute all the way around to a minute and a half, and then stop, and then do it again. You're going to get it warm, so start wearing some gloves, and then get you a fresh easy out and a bigger wrench and just pull on that sucker and just really try and push around. That should work, okay? However, if that doesn't, and then you're talking about the other screw type extractor, Gulfworks makes one that I use religiously. and it comes in a wood and a iron shaft kit, and it's a little more aggressive, and it starts out thinner and then gets bigger and goes up, and the screws are small, the threads are smaller and more combined together, so there's more surface area grabbing this. And what you do is you turn this thing, and I use a tap handle. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's a one that's got a handle on both ends, and it grabs the middle. It's a piece that looks like that, and it goes over top of it, and it grabs the square that is the end of the extractor. And I use that, and I screw that one in. And I do the same thing on the loosening in, and I screw it in, and I get as tight as I can. Now, this thing comes with a sleeve and a washer and a nut. And what you do is, once you've got that thing in there and engaged, I hit it with some more heat. Don't let the heat come off of this thing. Put this slide on top of it, the washer and the nut. And what you do is then you take another wrench and you just start turning that bolt down, or turning that nut down in that bolt. And what it does, it acts as an extractor and pulls it out. So that's the third option. Okay, that's the third option. Outside of that, that's about the ones that I know. I wouldn't try and necessarily heat up the shaft per se, because you've thrown enough heat to it. The epoxy bond has probably broken. What you're fighting against now is a press fit, because McGregor did not mess around. You probably pull it out and you'll see a dimpling. And what it is, it's pressed in there, and you're fighting the press. Okay. And what you need is this to grab it, in order you can break it free. And when you heat the hosel on the inside, or the shaft on the inside, you just expand the shaft right into the hosel. The idea here is to heat from the outside, break that bond, and let that shaft still be the same size and pull it out. All right, that's one. Number two, TaylorMade P790. Hosel accepts the 355 gauge, feels too loose. The collar in the hosel won't let the gauge, won't let 370 in it. The old shaft tip on the gauge accepts the 355 and the 370. I think it's a taper tip is what to use. Is this a centering ferrule that you're talking about? And the absolute answer to that is yes. Yes, it is. If you go look in there, it's a little deeper, right? And just after playing around with the 790s, speaking of that, before we go any further, how about we like and subscribe, right? Hit that like bell down below. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if you would, please. And if you got some friends that are into golf, let them know about it so they can subscribe too. Trying to drive up the subscription so that we have a little bit more pull in the golf group. So anyway, the next video that is coming out, I am building on some P790s that are very special. So we're going to do that. So I happen to know about this one. So what you have to do, it does take a different kind of a ferrule, and you'll see what I did with it on the video. But yes, what we're talking about is the centering ferrule. And so Mark, that's what we're looking for. That's what you need. Now, if you watch the video, it'll probably be out Wednesday. If you watch the video, you'll see what you can do if you want to use a specialty ferrule, because I had to on that one. Okay, now let's get to the rest of the questions. 125 comments. So I hope we got enough likes in all of this to make it go. All righty. Matt Revlock. Matt came down and visited us, and because his son, well, they were going to go see a crew game. His son is quite the soccer player, and their daughter is quite the volleyball player, and they came down. So that's very cool. So no rounds for me, but nice chat with Jim and Robin on Saturday. Matt, apologize I couldn't come out there, buddy, but we're in the middle of one of those fittings I was just talking about. Question, with Sally getting a new set, will you make a video showing that build? We'll see. We'll see if there's anything special on it, bud. We will see if we can what can we create out of that, right? Look at that. It's not doing anything. All right. Let's see if this will do it. Let's give it again. There we go. Is it going to move? Yep, it's still going to move. Well, we're going to fit. We're just going to go with it. So if I can do something good, if you guys come up with it, here we go. There's another thing to put in here. if I'm building Sally, which is Matt's wife, a set of clubs, what do you want to see on a subject matter if I'm building a set of clubs? There you go. There's Charlie. What do you say, sir? As good as you play, you don't need a lot of time on the course. I'd have to agree with that. Charlie's bringing it in there. Look at him breaking 80 with a big time. Nicely done, sir. Well done. Well done indeed. All right. John Cherry, well, greetings. And Jim, fellow golfers from Myrtle Beach. How are you, John? Glad to see you on here. Matt, of course, there is an addiction to being the course that needs to be fed. Truly, right? Truly. I didn't get any golfing in this weekend because of building the clubs, getting the patio furniture, cooking the pork, and my dad needed his microwave installed, so we got a lot of that. Plus, I cleaned the vehicle inside and out, so from the trip. So I had a lot more going on. All righty. John Lambs says, Charles Bartholomew, nice rounds. You are striping it these days. Yes, he is. Ooh, there's a new. What are you putting in that valve? That is cool, dude. That is very cool. Mark Nat, there he is. Jim had a TM Sim 2 driver in the shop last week with a stuck adapter. Your video on that topic is very helpful getting unstuck. Yeah, the verdigris that gets on those TMs is just crazy. And those and pings are the ones that are the worst. Ping is a press fit more than, because the TaylorMade relies on that gear at the bottom, where the ping relies on the press fit across the little bubbles across the top. And they both get that. I don't understand. But I'm glad it helped, bud. There's my buddy Peter. What do you say, sir? Myrtle Beach was in the 80s with high humidity. And 75. Pete, I swear, man, I don't even know how I can golf around you. That was awesome. John, thank you. I'm hitting it better, but you know how it goes. Live for now, for this too shall pass. Oh, there you go. There's Charlie telling there, Mr. Peter, he had a good round. Mr. P from Puerto Rico. How are you? Say hola. What's going on, man? P Funk Chang, haven't seen you for a bit. Just got fit for a new GT4. Okay. Not sure if it's going to be very friendly. How would I know? How would I know it's difficult to hit? I can always miss fairways with anything. I'm not sure what the GT4 is. Last time I saw a GT4 was one of those infomercials, man. So I'm not real sure. And I'm not sure how you got fit. Those two things would be the things I'd have to ask about. But if you truly got fit, it ought to be a little bit better, because you should have been talking about set makeup, shafts, that kind of stuff. Plus, if you had something mechanically going on that was just blatantly obvious, they should have discussed it with you. There's Krister. Hope all's well with you too. I saw you on the Instagram with another swing. It looked like you had your foot way back. Is that on purpose, or was that just a camera angle I just didn't understand? Because it looked like you had, if this was straight on and this is your back foot, it looked like you were really back like this with your target line that way. That could have actually been the camera, but you hit the crud out of it, so very well done. There we go. Travis K, in the fitting process, when do you fit for lie and length? In the beginning or the end? In the very beginning, bud. Length is my number one parameter that I go for first. All right, length is directly equal to consistency. If you can get your consistency going, then I can trim it away. It's like, chipping away at that. You know what do they say? One of the famous artists that he didn't make the block or the statue was already in there. He just knocked away the pieces. Same concept. Now that I got the length, it's just chipping away at that golf club to find out what really works for you. But after you get the right length, then you go for the lie angle. because now that you have it, because it's not going to do you good to go the opposite way, because length and lie are actually connected. There we go. Great seeing you on Saturday, son. There you go. John, is there such a thing as a good graphite shaft but inexpensive? With Sean or Excalibur, I'm a high handicap. Still recovering 6 months now from lower back fusion surgery. Ooh, wee, ha, hoo, ha. Well, I'd much rather you recover from that first, John. However, Excalibur makes a fine shaft. I used to be a dealer for him, and Robin Arthur makes a pretty good shaft. He does. I just don't carry it because of all what I've got here on the wall. With Sean's okay. I would go with that one. If you were looking at another one, where is it? Oh, the stock offering from GolfWorks. They have their own. It's called the Pro something. For an inexpensive graphite shaft, it does what it says it's going to do. It might not feel the best like all the rest of them, but it's another one to consider. Now, some of these other ones, it depends on how inexpensive you're talking. Like Acra has the I series. That's their baseline, and it works grand, and it's not too over the top. Every one of them has it, but if you're going for outside the norm, the Excalibur and GolfWorks, and then Wishon. Here we go. We're going to see what Krister did. 78, 72, 75, 69. This must be the real scores and then the corrected scores for the handicap. Krister, you're just rolling with it, man. Good job. Charlie saying hello. Hello back. John, Charles Bartholomew, I don't know it. It usually all it takes is a night's sleep, and then what happened? Yeah, no doubt. I'm still interested to see what the heck is in that thing. What are you putting in there? It looks like you're putting it's either a tea. I don't know. Looks like a worm gear. Okay, Travis K. in the fitting process. We talked about that one. Excellent rounds, Krister. Yes, they were. Ranji, what do you say, buddy? Another doctor trip for my wife and more surgery on her eyeball needed. Aye. We'll be thinking of you, bud. I'm glad to be here for a break from all the medical procedures. Well, relax and enjoy, buddy. My dog Rex, swing weight is what my arms and club create, and my butt, my legs trying to stabilize. Not bad, dude. Not bad. Greetings from all from sunny Alberta. Okay. Hope everyone is doing well these days, putting them down the middle and long. Very good. Well done, John. And Charlie agrees. I do too, Charlie. I do too. Matt Scallion, or Scallon, not Scallion, but Scallon. There we go. I tried to build one link club using Bryson's technique of making sure all the total club weights are the same. Had to add a ton of counterweight. Is there a better way? Well, it sounds like you were trying to make them out of a standard set of clubs, and that is not what he's doing. So the way single length clubs, and we're getting a lot of questions on single length. Bryson must have really made punched a hole in the popularity. For Matt, for these things to work, for single length, the heads literally start out, the ones that are made for single length, all already weigh the same. Okay, they already weigh the same. The differences are going to be in loft angles. Now, you can change the loft angles based on the composition or even the way that they're made, i.e., Sean does a really good job of this one. Pardon me, keeping the lofts very comparable to what you would see in a set. And he does that by making the upper end springier, so you get a little more zip off of the club. And what he says is he dumbs down the lower irons so you don't get that extra zip and the distances are more in line. All right. Now, if you take something like Adele or the other, yeah, Adele did it, where they were basically all the same. What you did is you adjusted the lofts to get your gaps. All right. And I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that. And you can get some really weird gapping, but the end result is the same spot. So if you had if you're just trying to make a regular set into it, just the right answer is just don't. All right, just don't, because you just can't get there from here. And because of what you're experiencing, a lot of weight, either a lot of added weight. If you started from the bottom and work your way up, it would just be the other way around with that counterweighting. And then what you're doing is you're messing with the way that the club would perform. Hey, there's Dan and Jim Rummick golfers. I had someone who actually is sensitive to swing weight, but then again, I am actually somebody sensitive to swing weight, but then again, I'm OCD with my clubs. Yes, you are. That was I used to say Edgar Allan Poe kind of sensitive. Uh, and they still, just so you know, Dan, that although it was printed out there in Golf Digest or Golf Magazine, the they still won't send me a picture of the new wedge. John, Robin, I hope your AC is working these days. My friends and peoples have been suffering lately. Well, yeah, dude, the last week has been outrageous. It's been, in the mid to upper 90s, and it was gross. And then and Saturday when we were bringing the patio furniture in, it actually was very, very high temperature, and then it rained. And we're bringing this stuff in the rain. We're just getting wet. And we're like, well, hey, it's better than being hot. And then all of a sudden, the rain stopped and the sun came out and went to like about a bazillion% humidity. That was awful. And I looked at Mrs. McGolf and I went, we're going inside and we're not going back out. And what happened is now it's gone down into the 80s, and it was really weird that 80s would be actually very comfy. So it's very cool. Mrs. McGolf saying, hope she recovers. Thanks to Charlie from Krister. There we go. Krister, nice rounds. Did you ever connect with a shaft for the Titleist 505 driving irons that made them in the back? That's a good question. I'll take steel shafted clubs, thank you. Yes, it's hot. Yes. Hey, Frank, he's been a while. What do you say, man? Higher swing weight was the graphite shafted clubs, and you are correct, Charlie. You are correct. The length will win a lot of contests. Krister St. John went to the T200 3 iron with a Tour AD DI85 hybrid X Flex, but will change the head to the U505 instead. It's more forgiving, I would say, and you would be correct, Krister. It very much is. My T203 came in with a swing at C5, which is odd. That is odd. Oh, I know why. That's because the 3 iron, it was in a 3 iron weight versus the other one is going to be heavier. All right. Gee, what do you say, buddy? Hello, Jim Ron from St. Louis. Summer is here, no doubt. Learn the cool trick to hold on to an ice cube as long as you can and let it go. Let your hands air cool. Do not wipe off. Your hands stop sweating. Really? Had no idea. We'll have to try that one. The large grip on steel shafted irons bring the swing weight down unless you compensated for it. And I did not. I did not compensate it for it because I was going for more total weight, Charlie. Now I will say this: the total weight, the total weight between these two clubs was so significantly different. It was scary. All right, the shorter clubs with the heavier shafts were almost they were in that 80 to 100 gram heavier. So when he goes to pick it up, it's going to be heavier. And he's going, oh, that's the heft, because it's going to be more in his hands. And when he's aggressive, when you get this aggressive swing, that's kind of where you want it to be. So I think he's going to like it. The clubs with the lighter shafts will feel heavier. Well, with lighter shafts as a whole, if it was same Krister, like length and what, I would agree completely. Uh, However, in this particular case, it did not. At least to me. Now 3 other people could walk in here and go, "Wow, that thing's so heavy," but we had him check. The 13-year-old grabbed it, and he didn't notice a thing, so that was good. Hello, golf peeps. Just tuned in, and I'm out in the shop regripping and checking swing weight. Good for you, dude. Good for you. Better question. Which set feels more balanced? Yes, that's what we were talking about earlier, right? Honestly, either way that you went with it, I thought, you know, I thought the steel shaft felt more balanced, and that's to me, but because I like the grip here, right? The other one I thought felt light, but I didn't think it felt gross one way or to the other. And that was total weight. I cut down my irons a half an inch today to a standard 37 7 iron. I wanted to try a slightly longer club, but the feel went bananas. Okay. I thought you might even hit it a little fat. Now, the real question here, Krister, is after you cut them, did you hit all those really good scores? Charles Bartholomew, good question. I found that my old fitter built me a set that was all MOI match, and I'd improved my ball striking. There you go. MOI does have a place. I don't think it's very well accepted just right now. Which putter will sink into the lake fastest so I don't have to see it anymore? The one without as much surface area. Am I talking from experience? There we go. John Lamb, Krister, I did the same. Went back from a half inch over, from an inch over. Feel came in almost immediately. Good for you. The one that makes the fewer putts. Golf Daddy, what do you say? Just ordered some Acra TZI shafts, huge part because of your in-depth review. Getting them put into my flex and specs soon. Very cool. Glad you liked it, and thank you. Should tell those guys that I sent them your way just so that they know. I don't get any kickback, but it's just fun for them to hear them say, "Hey, we did that." And they are nice shafts. I have some in my other set. I will put on Karma Revolution grips. They feel like Golf Pride, but they're way cheaper. They are way cheaper. Those Karma ones are different. Now, I think they're just a hair thinner, but outside of that, hey, if they work, grand. So, if I remember right, you said that you went to 950 Neos in a regular shaft. I did. I was wondering why and why I'm trying the SR hard step the first time, getting a wee bit long in the tooth for S shafts. Oh, SR shafts. So yeah, look at this. I'm gonna make it come over. Let's go up top a little bit. There we go. Uh so what I did was I did some testing, John, and as it turns out, the shafts are reacting pretty much the same between the S and the R for me, and it just felt a little bit more softer when you hit the ball, and I got exactly the same stuff out of it, and sometimes even more. So I don't have to swing as hard to get the same amount out of it. And I'm right on that cusp. I'm on that cusp and swing where you could go either way. I could have soft stepped the S or just kept a regular R, and I would have been in the same spot. But I figured this was a heck of an experiment, and so far so good. I really like how I'm striking the irons. There's Kent. What do you say, buddy? Could I ask a question, please? Yes. Is there a tip in the previous staff model CB 355? Yes, it is 355. All the stuff in the CBs is 355. Unobtainium, good stuff. No kidding. I've had to use that a few times. There's Lawrence. Hello, all. What do you say, buddy? John saying, Chris, they're there like MCC grips. I love those, but many dollars for the grips. Correct. You look at new shafts for those CBs? He might be. I've been going down the rabbit hole of swing weight and finally found a little heavier is best suited for me. A lot of trial and error and lead tape. That'll do it, man. That will do it. There's Kent saying hello. Krister saying more like the GP Tour Velvets. Okay, that's a different model. Sure is. More rubber feel. Oh, okay. Kent saying, yep, just picked up some CBs with KBS and wondering about them, some Modus 3s. Ah, okay. Yep. Taper tips. I believe they're C, but nope, they're tapers. They go when they go into the Dynapower. The Dynapowers are 370s. Ah, okay. New shafts and grips, they'll feel like new clubs for certain. Sorry, dude. Although, Kent, what you could do if you wanted, if you had plenty in stock and you liked them, you could run out and get you a reamer and ream them out to 370, and then you'd be good to go. No doubt. Ah, you got to remember, Ken is enjoying that. He's enjoying that retired life. He doesn't get to sneak away as much as he used to. There's Jewel. What do you say? Shot a 4 under par 68, two better than my age, round of my life. Well, congratulations, sir. Congratulations. There's Warren's Golf. How are you, sir? Kent, she'll know when you start beating her in the golf course. As the way he talks about her, Charlie, that might be a hard day. Krister talking to Jewel about a nice round. And there's again. Let's check them out. Thanks for the tip. There we go. Look at that. We're trading stuff already. Not going to have Charlie. She lives in my head rent free. No kidding. Well done. Color matching definitely makes the ball go straighter and further. Yeah. Well, if nothing else, you can look really good on the course. Yep. Any tips on how to get into club building professionally? Well, back in the day when the PCS was still a thing, I used to teach a course on getting started. And we for the first, it was a 4-hour class, and for the first 2 hours, I never talked about golf clubs. All right. In the States, it's a little, it's a little different from place to place to place, to be sure, but way different when you go from here to, say, Europe. It's a different animal altogether. And I'm going to stay in the States because I'm not real knowledgeable about going into the UK. So, if you're going to do this professionally, does that mean you're going to be in a business? If you're going to do a business, you need to fill out a business plan. If you're going to do a business plan, you need to do your research so that you can write up a prospectus and understand what you think you're going to do with your business. Whether you're going to do fittings and building or just building, what kind of building you're going to do, what clientele you're going to have, the price you're going to charge, those kinds of things. And you lay it all out so that there are no surprises, right? No surprises. Because there will be plenty when you get started. There'll most likely be nothing close to what you thought, but hey, the more research you can do, the better off you will be. So having a better business plan is the way to go. That's what being professional is all about, right? The second thing is get all the schooling or all the training that you can. And that's how I started. I started out with a 1-day course, went to a 1-week course, joined an organization that had testing, and that test was it's 300 question test plus a practical. And if you failed one side or the other, you failed the whole thing. So it behooved you to be ready to take that test. Now, the test was open book. It wasn't like it was a huge crunch, but the questions caused you to get into every corner and nook and cranny of that book. And that was probably one of the best experiences. And then doing it more and more and more and going to more and more trainings to figure out more and more stuff. That's pretty much how we get going. But do the schools, do the business plan, figure out how you want to do it. But make sure that it's a business and not just a hobby. There we go. That's very nice looking furniture. How comfy is it? I say it's very comfy. Mrs. McGolf was always looking for she wanted a padded something or another, but I like sitting up when I'm in there. I don't like this whole leaning back thing, right? I just don't like that whole leaning back thing because it's hard to get out of the chair. Yeah, there you go. Charlie, it's very comfortable. Jim picked it out. Don't let him fool you. No, Jim did not pick it out. Jim did not pick it out. Mrs. McGolf picked it out. I agreed. And then we put it on the trailer, and then she helped me unload it. Jim, are you going to be good at clean building and going to the bourbon distilling? No, not distilling, no. But I wouldn't mind traveling and seeing all the distilleries and talking about it to people. That would be cool. I'm trying to get her to agree to let's go golf courses around the distilleries and then do golf at a course and then do visit the distillery that's associated with it. So far, I get the side eye. We're not quite there yet. Yep, I'll have to retire from something. No, they don't, but I keep telling her to go get them. Yep, there it is, right there. Well, she's the one that's going to want them, so I like it the way it is. It is not a Father's Day gift, so don't let her fool you. Well, at least the porch is enclosed and the sun doesn't eat that nice furniture up over time. Now, that's kind of the idea, Charlie, is that polywood stuff is supposed to last forever, right? And at our age, that's probably the one that we bought, that one and done. We're pretty much probably right there. Ah, Jeremy L. J. Nelson. Ooh, I do like the your what are we going to call that? Your logo going on. Anyone else rocking D8 swing weight? Negative. I'm not. Time to make an old fashioned. Oorah! Old fashioned. Although this ain't it. Although that would make a really good one though. Caramel and cherry and chocolate. I never thought those words would all come out of my mouth at the same time describing that. They're saying, hey, Robin. Swing it. Bought a trolley from Caddy Tech. Oh, cool. Is that one of that follows you around, or is that one or a motorized one? And there's a 20. Well, see, I didn't know that was a 20-year warranty. By that time, I won't even know what a porch is. Hey, Charlie, we're on the same page here, man. Way too heavy me for January. I measured guy's driver yesterday. Funnily enough, it was D9. What? No doubt. How is he getting D9? What kind of crazy weight did they throw in that, or was it like 50 inches long? Yep. John says, hit that like button, folks. Looks like just another thumbs up. Click on it for them. Thank you. Appreciate it, John. And again, if you would, tell your friends about it. Get them over here to subscribe. Maybe they'll learn a little something. Charlie said he did it. Too expensive. So it's a regular push cart. Okay. How about the ones with the remote controls that follow you around like you're having a personal caddy? I think those are kind of cool, but I'm trying to figure out if you tell them to stay 10 yards away or 5 yards away, how do you get your golf clubs? Easy outs, quick outs are godsends. I wouldn't disagree with you on that one, Kent. Yeah, they buy a new set of clubs. Oh, really? I haven't looked at one in ages, but yeah, I think they would be nice, but I'm sure they gotten pretty fantastical. Now they have that, if you've seen those rigs where you get your a regular push cart And what they do is they've made the back end where you take the back wheels off and you latch on this battery operated propelled uh, set. It's a rig that you bolt onto your uh, golf cart, and it makes it motorized, and it can be radio controlled and whatnot. I even watch guys stand on them. There's Ron Griffin, how are you, sir? Ron, how are you and your wife doing? Here we go. She's getting them figured out. Yes, I could build. Yes, I could build a set of multi-TE forged. There you go. Lighter shaft has a higher swing weight? No, the other way around. I liked in sub years ago, Jim. Well, keep liking this one, Kent. You're reaching 40,000. Yep, we're trying. Rob, she's doing well. Thanks for asking. Well, I'm glad to hear that, buddy. Hey, we're getting some other names in here that we haven't had for a while. Mike Delvesco, been using the Triton driver. Very nice. Switched to a 1-degree draw. The overclub seems heavier. Seems like I can feel the head better. Any explanation? Well, what's happened is that in the 1 degree in the draw for Wilson, what it's done is tilted the head in this direction, which is probably you're probably seeing a the way that the feel is that the 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 tip has gone over there. Now, if I remember the Triton correctly, it had a sole plate on it, and it did favor the toe. So if you tilted the toe into the close a little bit, it's probably going to feel a little bit heavier. That is a Howden screw compressor. I would have never have guessed that's a compressor. It looks like a 90-degree valve or even a T. I think it's in a CO2 plant. It was an industrial Frigimatic. Oh, okay. Very cool. I had no idea. New Titleist driver. Oh, okay. I didn't know they were calling them that either. As far as Titleist goes, if Titleist says they're making a forgiving driver, I would trust them for that, dude. Sunny V is in the house. Been getting lots of golf in between the raindrops here, so it's been very hot. Really? All right. Porch was very nice, Matt said. He came to visit and he saw it. I'm glad to see that. Jonathan Weaver, man, they're all coming back. Glad to see you guys here. Did my invitation to the first annual McGolf get lost in the mail? Nope, we just haven't put it out there yet, buddy. GT is the new drivers from Titleist, so the GT4 will be low spin and a smaller head. Oh, well, then I take it back. It might be just a tiny bit hard. The smaller the head, the taller the face. And if you're a guy that comes down on the club, then yeah, you might like it a lot. And you have the TSR4. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you've seen him swing, Charlie. Dude, the guy comes after it like he's on a mission. There you go. So there's another thumbs up for an Excalibur. Some of them don't. Now I will say, you heard me talk about them last time. These Acras that are over here. We'll take off Krister. Those right here. Those are those Shoguns. And I tell you what, that X Flex and that one doesn't feel X Flex-ish. Feels pretty damn smooth. Michael MC, how often do you replace irons? Say 20 rounds a year. Oh, you could go a little bit more than that. 20 rounds a year. For me out here, if we was equivalent, you say you can play golf about 9 months out of the year, maybe 8 at the worst. 8, 7 or 8. So that's 28 rounds. You're not even playing once a week, dude. So yeah, you could go for a long, long time. Now, That is from a usage perspective. If you like, if you're going out and you're playing once a week or even less than that, and or you go out and play the scrambles with the buddies, you could go for years. All right, for years. From a technology change that would help you like golf better, probably around 6. I would say around 6 years. Got that one. Andrew, what do you say, buddy? Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for being on there with us. Just about everything will spin too much for you, Krister. Yeah, if you watched him swing, Kent, he's got a hell of a he attacks that. Hey, Andrew just got himself a DF. He got himself a directed force 2.1. What does everyone think? I am all about the lab putt golf or the lab golf putter. The directed force is too much of a branding iron for me. The look just turns me off, but I do like the way that it works. Lawrence, just cut down my 9-iron to 56 length, and it's hitting straight and long. Dynamical 300, 329 seams, and reshafted to my 8-iron pitching wedge length. I think you're going to like it, dude. I think you're going to like it. Oh, that's why. Because you're 5'5". That makes all kinds of sense, Lawrence. That makes all kinds of sense. Yes, that now that you've told me the other stuff before, yes, that's a good idea. I use Excalibur Phoenix with the Crank Pro 11 or Crank 9 degree. Couldn't get the spin under 2700. 2700 is not bad, but for your speed, it's probably a little high. Golf, but the shaft felt great for 45 grams. Oh, yeah. If you probably threw that thing in a little heavy, the spin would have made come down a little bit. Yeah, I know, right? Krister, we can live through Krister dynamically because he's the golf equipment guru. Now that would be a wonder right there. Yeah, I'd agree there as well. He cut him down after the scores. Oh, Krister, after all those good scores? Come on, man. Hopefully now you know you're under pressure now, Krister. You've got to now we're going to have to see all kinds of 70 scores with him cut down. No problem, my friend, anytime. Lawrence, I like heavier feeling clubs. The Elevate 95 shafts that came in the set, just too light. Shot a 4 over on a 9 hole. That's not bad. Cut the 9-iron hit and held greens. There you go. Now, what's going on, Lawrence, is because of being at 5'5", the shorter club's probably going to work for you a little bit better, right? And that means what's happening is that you're hitting the ball a little more crisp. You're getting into it a little bit maybe in the middle of the face, and you could go all the way down with that. Joe Palace. What do you say, man? Hello there. Looking for a decent price shaft for a 5-wood for a guy with high swing speed and 6'2". Thank you. Okay, so when we talk about fairway woods, that's kind of a tough ordeal, right? The fairway woods, you really want to look at people that actually make a fairway wood shaft. I think we are doing a disservice if you're in the club making industry by just taking drivers and making them heavier and cutting them. It just does not work very well. Sometimes yes, but for the most part, no. If you get the ones that are true fairway wood shafts made for the fairway wood, you are far better off and you transmit the same feel and you're good to go. So there are two places you can go. And you'd be surprised, but Graphite Design does a fairway wood shaft, and it's not over the top expensive. Actually, it's pretty reasonable. I would check them out. If you know an Acra dealer, or you go online looking for an Acra dealer, these guys right here in the GXs are very, very good as well. Now, if you're going to put it into a bonded club, you're probably not going to be able to get these because they can only sell them to you with a tip on them online, or you take them to an Acura dealer and let them do it. Jerry Nelson, when my big brother was doing long drive, he played E4 swing weight. You know what the you know what the you know what the trend now is? Using these guys right here, and those are 40-gram shafts and the most flexible they can become, and they're killing it. How that's working, I have no idea. Ty, what do you say, man? I had to drill out my Venice Velacore shaft last night. Epoxy was about 9 inches up the shaft. How much variance there is in club building by pros today. We'll use the air quotes in pros. 9 inches up the shaft, that's a lot of glue, dude. In fact, that's a ridiculous amount. That's a guy that's filling up the hosel and just shoving it in the club, hoping that'll stick. But I'm glad you got it out. Steven, what do you say? You were referring to Alphard Golf. Oh, yeah. Okay, is that who they made that? I bought one for my click gear, and it makes walking 18 holes so much easier. Okay, guys, now we know the name of it. I had no idea. I've seen them gobs of times, and it looked cool, but I'm not walking, so I live in the mountains. So walking up and down hills, not happening. But Alford Golf. Okay, now we know. Is that the bloke's 9 inch or come on now? There's Jason. What do you say, sir? Anyone going single length should consider with Sean's. The ones you built for me performed better than the Cobras at Dick's. Well, there we go. Look at that. Not only we're getting a recommendation from Jason on Washans, but for the guy that built them. Golf is amazing. It's a measuring tape on the drill, 9 inches. Ah. What grips do you use on your irons? I like the bright red. Those are Star Grips. Star Grips, made in America, and I believe in Arizona. Made from EDPM rubber. That's the stuff that your weather stripping on your car is made out of. And he also says there's a 3-year guarantee. We might just put that to the test if I can stay that long with him. We are really killing it today, guys. Steve Maltzby. All right. Anyone out there tried the Newton Motion driver shafts? I've seen them. People have told me about them, and the answer is still no. But yeah, they look cool. I thought the graphite shafts said they felt heavier than the 125s. I think I have it backwards. There you go. It's just a feel thing, Lawrence. It's not that they truly are. It was the other way around. But when everything is the same head, same grip, and you just change the flex, the weight, in a lot of cases, that the lighter shaft, you will feel the head a little bit more. And that's not every case, but that is some cases. Dan Bunga that was on here, he would notice it almost instantly. Howard Shore, what do you say, buddy? Man, we're getting them all through here. I would agree completely, bud. Kelly Schubauer. I have some NS Pro 950 Neos, all 41 inches long. Can I make a set not one length? Yeah. So the 41-inch long clubs, Kelly, are 370s, and they're made to be trimmed. And they're made to be trimmed in order for you to, hopefully they have a piece of tip section about that long for you to be able to trim and make them. So, yeah. Yeah, Krister game the EQ and XLs. I would agree. They did start out as the Sterlings, and now they got the EQs. And the EQs are an updated version. They're not, the Sterlings were a little clunky, and they fixed all that kind of stuff in the second generation. It's from the same group. Yep. And the 919, they've retooled that too. It looks really cool. It's neat. I've got one. I'm half thinking about trying to put it in a bag just for fun, but it's a bonded head. And I just put a shaft in there and do a video on, does it really make a difference? Yeah, GBR, baby. For those of you that do not know what that means, that's Go Big Red. My home of birth. You got to be once a Husker, always a Husker. And I certainly hope they've got it turned around this year. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go bury my head in the sand. Okay, guys, we got down to the end of it. His fairway hybrids are very good too. Yes, they are. I would agree with that one as well. I'm not a big fairway wood fan, but the hybrids do work very well. All righty, guys, we got to the very end of it again, and we almost set a record. We went to 7 o'clock. The record's still with me and Matt talking. We went way long on that one. As always, guys, I appreciate it. Thank you for asking the questions. Hopefully you learned a little something. Watch for the video. It'll be out midweek, not tomorrow, but midweek. And it'll be on dealing with the TaylorMade 790s. And there will be copper. There's a little teaser, a little copper action. And what we did and what we had to do to go through to do all the changes. Again, thank you guys for showing up. We will have one Monday just before the 4th of July, so be prepared to be very patriotic. And if I can get it to work, we'll be doing something that nobody else has done. So let's go with that. And as always, guys, let's see your scores go low.